Hello everyone, I welcome you in the virtual classroom of Economics for Business Decisions. We are discussing unit number 2, and in today's lecture we will discuss the remaining methods of pricing, that is multi-stage pricing and peak load pricing. Let us see in detail. Multi-stage pricing is not new to you. In fact, you have already learned the multi-stage in your marketing in semester 3. What is product life cycle? It is totally related to multi-stage. Product life cycle simply means the life of the product from which stages in the life of product from which a product passes through. Like a human being, we born, then infant, child, adult, teenage, then adult, and then we become old, and then we dies. Likewise, a product is also having a life cycle. It is introduced in a market. Its sales will increase in a growth stage, then it will reach to maturity, then saturation, and then it will enter in a decline stage where finally the demand of the product is reducing. So this is the product life cycle. Now, what a multi-stage pricing is and why it is related to product life cycle. See, product life cycle is having multi-stage, as I have given you 5 stages are there: introduction, growth, maturity, and saturation and decline. So in different stage, different price is to be charged. That is why it is known as multi-stage pricing. Multiple stages are there, and in multiple stages we are charging multiple prices. That is why this method is known as multi-stage pricing. Now let us see in detail. As we know that each and every product has a particular lifespan. This lifespan has different stages. They are introduction, growth, maturity, saturation, and decline. Now, during every stage, the producer has to determine different pricing with regard to every stage. As I told you earlier, as the stage changes, you have to change your pricing policies. Whatever the price you are charging in introduction phase, the same price you cannot charge in decline phase. Why? Because the circumstances are different now. As the stages make progress ahead, the producer reduces the selling price with the purpose to sustain the selling of the particular product. For example, whatever the pricing is in the first stage, say introduction, it will be reduced in second stage, say growth, then third, fourth, and so on. Usually we are seeing this in the market, that when a new product is launched in a market, it is having high price, but as the time passes, consumers are starting adopting it. The price is slowly reduced. So as the time passes, price is reduced. In the introduction stage, the producer has to make much more efforts to sell the product with higher prices. The consumer may be attracted to the product because it is a new introductory product, and consumer will be ready to pay higher prices. In introduction stage, your product is novelty, market may not be ready for it. You have to go for aggressive promotional strategy to create awareness in a market. So your cost of production is very high. Your cost of product is very high. So to cover your cost and to earn profit, you have to charge high price. The consumers are ready to pay high price. Why? Because this product is new and they want to be the first purchaser. They want to be the pioneer purchaser to satisfy their ego and to give opinion to others whether to purchase this product or not. You must be knowing different types of consumer. Pioneer consumers are there who are the consumer who purchases first your product. Why? Because they want to give opinion to others whether to purchase it or not, and by that way they want to satisfy their ego. In the second stage, the price will be reduced. It will be affordable to the producer because now the product has secured a certain goodwill or popularity in a market. So the selling span has become developed and consumers have become accustomed with the product. Accustomed means they are getting habituated to it. In the growth stage, now efforts will be less. Efforts required to sold product will be less. No that much aggressive promotional strategies are required. You can have a normal promotional strategies. Why? Because market already enough awareness is created in a market. Consumers who the person want to be your consumer, who want to consume your product are already your consumer. They are aware about your product, they are aware about the usefulness of your product, so you require less efforts. And the another reason that this is a stage where your demand is growing, and that is why your production is growing. You are producing in bulk, which gives you benefit of economies of scale, so your cost goes down, and that is why you are lowering your price. Then in the stage of maturity, again the price of product will reduce. It will create no difficulty to producer, because now the product is sold in different market and has created more potential consumers which support the product, and they have made the product as a family product. Up till growth stage, the person who have accepted your product were very much less, but now it is a product which is accepted by almost each and everyone from the population. I am not saying each and everyone from the target market, but each and everyone from the population. Now it is not an individual product, it is shown as an family product. Say for example, if you are a soap producer and if you are launching a new product, then from a family there may be only one person who want to try it, who want to be pioneer consumer, and for the sake of that only he is purchasing. But his intention is not to be a long and a loyal customer of your company. He is just doing it for the test and trial. But if he will be satisfy your product, he will definitely give better opinion about your product to their family member and make them to accept your product. So earlier it was an individual product, but now it is a family product. But when this can happen? Only in a maturity stage. And as your product become a family product, your demand is in bulk. That is why you are producing in bulk and you can sell in lower price. On the other hand, now the price is lower, so selling span will also be vast in the market. So the cost of production and selling revenue will be adjusted in their own way. In the stage of saturation, the sales keys to grow and additional demand for the product is replacement demand only. See, saturation is a stage where the person who want to be your consumer, they are already your consumer. Now no new consumer will be added to your customer base. Those who want to adopt your product, they have already adopted it. Now if the demand is there in a market, it is not a new demand, but it is for replacement only. So for example, you can take here is a fan. Fan is almost purchased by each and everyone in the Indian population. Now if anyone is going to demand fan, then it will be for replacement only. Why? Because their old fan is not working. If we put aside a new apartments who are built, generally most of the price for fan is only for replacement. It is a saturation phase. In the stage of declining, now sales is on the way of recession. Our demand is decreasing because new competitors have entered the market with their new and better product. It will create cross substitution, which will have an effect on the selling of the old product. Even if the price of old product is lowest in the market, but the consumer will turn to the new and better product, considering the old product is out of date. They will adopt the new product even if the price of new product is better than old one. See, decline is a stage where new substitutes have entered in a market with updated technology, with variety, with attractiveness. So no one would like to purchase old and out of date product. Even if the substitute is having only less differentiation and they are sold at high price, the person would like to purchase at high price because it is a novelty, it is not out of date. So in decline stage, you are reducing your price though you face much difficulty in selling your product. Generally, any new product has to pass through mainly two types of pricing. We have done a detailed discussion on the product life cycle, but for the sake of simplicity, we can divide the whole product life cycle into two stages only. The first stage is known as pioneer stage and the second stage is known as mature stage. You must be knowing the graph of the product life cycle. It is like this, where the 5 stages are there, but here we are making only 2 stages. So first this stage will be known as pioneer stage and the second stage will be known as maturity stage. When a producer decides to settle pioneer, once again he has to decide whether he has to accept scheming price or penetration. We have a detailed discussion on scheming and penetration in the last lecture only. You can go through it, whether to go for scheming pricing or to go for penetration pricing. Whether he has to accept higher start pricing or lower start pricing. The scheming price will be for needy consumers and for the consumers who can afford it. Such pricing cannot work a long time because of entrance of new competitor in a market. If you are charging scheming price, if you are targeting rich class of people, and if your product is luxury, then you can charge scheming price, but scheming price cannot sustain in a market for a long run. In the later stage, anyhow, you have to reduce your price. Why and how, that we have discussed in detail in scheming and penetration lecture. The penetration price, though it is lower price, can capture a larger market. Consumer attract to the lower price and bulk purchasing can be possible. The fear of new competitors can be avoided. In this way, the producer should have a study of market conditions and then he has to accept either scheming price or penetration price. Sometimes we can see the price war also. In these conditions, the producer can sustain his product by applying penetration price. Penetration price is also having their own benefit, like it can give you a large market in the beginning only, and by that way you can prevent your market from the competition. Less competitor will attracted towards your market and you can enjoy monopoly with a low price. So it totally depends on the circumstances whether to charge high price or low price, but whatever the price you decide for the introduction stage, for the pioneer stage, when you enter in a maturity, you have to reduce your price, whether it is scheming or penetration. In both of the situation, you have to reduce your price to increase your sell. That is all about the multi-stage pricing. Now let us discuss the last method of this unit, that is peak load pricing. In this method, the industry charges higher price from the consumer during the peak demand period, but charges lower price from the consumer who purchases the commodity or services during the off-peak demand period. Generally, any product's demand is divided into two seasons. One season when high demand is there, that is known as a peak period, and another season when the lowest demand is there, that is known as off-peak season. We can have so many examples for this kind of product. The best example where the demand varies in one day only, that is a food product like food court. You can take example of pani puri. No consumer you will find in the morning, but a market will be flooded with the consumer at the time of evening and at night. So morning is an off-peak period and evening is a peak period. Likewise, hotel rooms are demanded more at the time of festivals, and they are not at all demanded in a rainy season or at the time when no festivals are there. So many products are there which faces two seasons in their lifespan, that is a peak period and off peak period. In peak period, entrepreneur charges high price, and in off peak period they are charging low price. You can take an example of hotel rooms only. If festival seasons are there and much rush is there, then the hotel prices, room prices increases and you find difficulty to get the room. But if you go in the off season when no one is ready to party or to go away and there is no festival time, hotels are not finding any consumer, then whosoever come to their hotel to get the room, they will give them in a least possible price. Sometimes the room which is charged as 25,000, 30,000 per day, the same room is available only in the 7,000 or 5,000 in a off peak, in a off season. So that is what the play or the game of time. The telephone companies charge higher rates of their services during daytime because during the daytime consumers require more use of telephones, but at night their requirement reduces. It is off-peak time period, so the companies provide low charges services to them. We have faced this scenario when newly the internet was launched. Internet facility was given to the cell phones. At night, the cell phone rates or the internet rates were quite low because at night they have the less requirement. So to increase the demand, they are offering less pricing at night. The same differences are found in other products also. The hotel room charges during high season are more and lower during off season. Anyhow, the companies charge price according to demand and conditions in the economy. If high demand is there, high prices will be charged. Low demand is there, low price will be charged. Such type of pricing can be applicable if the following conditions are exist. Now, for which of the product and for which condition we can go for peak load pricing? The conditions are given here. If the service is neither storable and not transferable. See, it can be applied only for the service because service is intangible product. It cannot be applied to any product. See why I have not given you the example of umbrella. Umbrella is also a product which is having high season and off season. It is having the peak period and the off peak period. But the difference in the demand can be maintained by the warehouse facility. We can produce in the off-peak period and store it and can sell it in the peak period. But the services we cannot do the same thing with the services. We cannot say that the hotel room get vanished in the off-peak period and they will reappear in a peak period. No, not at all. It will be there. It will remain there. During the daytime and during the nighttime, demand for certain goods and services are seasonal. The demand for them, price elasticity is different. Means at the daytime demand is different, at the nighttime demand is different. Simply we can say that in peak period, demand is different than the off-peak period. And in both of the season, elasticities are different. Moreover, there are certain difficulties to operate this policy. They are as under. What are the disadvantages or the difficulties with the peak load pricing are? First, it becomes a problem to decide the forecasting of demand during the peak time period and the off-peak time period. Not only that, but demand elasticity cannot be assumed. As we have said that demand is differing in peak period and in off-peak period, but how much difference will be there? We cannot predict it precisely. Likewise, I have also said that elasticities in both of the season will be different, but how much elasticity will be there? If a demand is having inelastic, then how much inelastic? Your demand is elastic, then how much elastic? Take an example that in a festival season, everyone knows that the room prices will increase. The room will be available in 25 to 30,000. So elasticity is there. The customer's readiness will be there to pay 25 to 30,000. But if they will charge 45,000, then consumer will drop off the idea. There the demand becomes more elastic. Up to 25 and 30,000 demand was inelastic, but after that demand becomes elastic. So we cannot predict the elasticity, we cannot predict the demand as well. Second difficulty is the equipment used for services are different in nature, quality and utilization of them. So it may be difficult to decide average cost and marginal cost of service utilization. Business do not only run on your cost of production and the cost of marketing. You have to decide your average cost for your decision of price. You have to decide your marginal cost for decision of your price. As you know in economics that how much importance of average cost and marginal cost is there for decision of price. But in the product where demand varies to a great extent, it becomes very much difficult to come at your average cost calculation and marginal cost calculation. It is a common psychology of consumer that they do not prefer double charges of price for the same product or services. They do not like to charge different prices from different consumers for a same product. See, if you are charging different price in peak period and different in off-peak period, then simply it becomes the double pricing, dual pricing, and consumer will feel like they are exploited. If the same room is available in 7,000 and now if the demand is high, you are taking the benefit of the situation and you are charging 25 to 30,000. Some may oppose your demand, they may not like your policies at all, and they will be permanently decide permanently not to be your consumer at all. Why? Because you are charging two prices. So this is the biggest difficulty that is faced under peak load pricing. This type of pricing method is found in each and every market. People pay higher charges for emergency goods and services and lower charges for normal goods and services. It depends upon the requirement of consumer. If the consumer wants in emergency, that is what nowadays done. Remdesivir and the oxygen plants, oxygen bottles are sold at high price. Why? Because the need of consumer is in emergency, and that is why they are seeing this as an opportunity. The sellers are seeing this as an opportunity, though they are crossing the limits of humanity, but still from the business point of view they are right from as a businessman, but they are totally wrong as a human being. Well, that is another example. Let's not focus on it. But for the normal situation, this happens in each and every market. Peak load pricing. Then next is customary pricing. It is given in your book, but it is not there in your syllabus. We need not to discuss it, but still let me give a brief idea. Customary pricing simply means a going rate pricing, or the pricing which is decided by the market. Once market has decided a price, then it becomes custom to follow it. Means it becomes tradition to follow it, and that is why it is known as customary pricing. Once you know that tradition is decided, we cannot change the tradition. Likewise, we cannot change the customary pricing. That is all about customary pricing. That is only a brief idea. You need not to go in detail. By that way, we are completing this unit here. From next lecture, we will start the last unit, capital budgeting. Till that time, have a great day.